Props to history here. As is to be expected, back in 1965, a whole lot of movies got released, and a lot of those movies had excessively long titles. From Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine to The Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet. Both movies, of course, were absolutely terrible. However, in 1965, the movie with the longest title of the year was not terrible at all. Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines. A movie set in 1910 and involves a London to Paris air race. Now, my friend David here asks, do any of those crazy planes from the film still exist? Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the film is set in 1910, and powered flight really has only existed for about 7 years. So aircraft like this AV-Row triplane, they were state-of-the-art for their day. This particular example is actually the one from the film and is still maintained in flying condition today as part of the Shuttleworth Collection in the UK. Now, for the production, about 20 different types of aircraft were built from scratch because most of those aircraft just no longer survive anymore. And back in 1965, they didn't exist then either. Now, 6 of those aircraft were made to be airworthy, and of those 6 aircraft, the AV-Row triplane and the Bristol box kite, which is mistakenly called a Curtiss throughout the film, both still exist as part of the Shuttleworth Collection. Now, the aircraft flown by the French pilot is simply referred to as the Demoiselle. And in reality, it was called the Santo Dumont Demoiselle, which first flew in 1907, and it was built for the purpose of crossing the English Channel. Now, at that time, most aircraft development was taking place in France and England, and the big thing to do, the big holy grail of aviation at that time, was to cross the English Channel. Now, this rather spindly fellow from the film is the Levasseur Antoinette, an aircraft originally built for the crossing of the English Channel, which was finally completed in 1909 by the Blériot 11. The Antoinette was its direct competitor at the time. Now, while several replicas of it do survive, such as this one at the Musée de l'Air in France, it's unknown where the one from the film is at, or if it survived at all. Now, the Eardley Billing tractor biplane, which doubled as both the aircraft for the German competitor and the Japanese competitor, this one also is unknown whether it survived. Now, a lot of the static aircraft, the non-flying aircraft, a lot of those survived and exist in museums throughout the world to this day. Now, remember that I said that they used some actual vintage aircraft in this film? Well, the Shuttleworth Collection in Bedfordshire in the UK has an absolutely amazing collection, maintains an absolutely beautiful collection of vintage aircraft, a lot of which are still maintained in airworthy status. And among them is one of those vintage aircraft from the period, a Blackburn-built Blériot 11. And the Blériot 11 was the first aircraft to cross the English Channel. This particular aircraft was built in 1909 and still flies to this day. And it is the oldest surviving flying aircraft in the world. Props to history.